Good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Our topic today is appreciation in the workplace, and our webinar today is presented by the RISE Advisory Council. This webinar is another webinar, WQA Essentials webinar series that we put on roughly monthly. If you have any questions about WQA membership, please feel free to send us an email to membership@wqa.org. And if you have any questions about WQA professional certification, please send us email at education@wqa.org. So now I'm going to pass it over to our presenter today. She's the Director of Human Resources for Packard Culligan Water, Julie.
Thanks, Monica, and welcome everyone. As Monica said, my name is Julie Heidela. I am the Director of Human Resources here at Packard Culligan. I've been with the group for just exactly 7 years now, and it's been a great time. And one of the things that we've been working on for 2022 is how do we appreciate our employees in the workplace? So I was really excited to take on this topic with Monica and be able to present some ideas to everyone and kind of go through some of the challenges that we may be facing, and hopefully somebody finds something good out of today's presentation. So first of all, I want to start off with why do we recognize? I think a lot of us hear about it, we know it, we know we should do it, but it's hard to find the time to do it. But it's really important. Employees who are not recognized start to become demotivated and disengaged, decreasing their productivity. And then the R word that I think a lot of people are struggling with right now is that retention. So it's really important to be recognizing and appreciating our employees as this market gets tougher and tougher. Employees want to know that their efforts, even the small ones, are appreciated. They want to know that somebody's noticing them, sees what they're trying to do, even if it's not being done perfect, but just appreciating the effort that's going into it. And then encouraging people to acknowledge and record daily stories of progress, success, and values being demonstrated builds awareness and connectedness. So part of that employee recognition and appreciation is building connectedness, building awareness of what's happening around. And there's different ways to do that. And some of that is peer-to-peer, which we'll go over, and manager sharing it in front of groups, what that looks like, but really people being able to speak to what's happening day to day really helps to build that connectedness. And connectedness is so important in our retention of our employees. So one of the things, or a couple of things I wanted to go over was some of these outside factors. I wanted to be out loud about them because they are what we're all facing and we're all feeling. We're just coming out of a pandemic, something that we've never seen before. And what did that pandemic do, and how did that change the workforce? I think what it created was that people wanted an opportunity to work from home. They want flexibility. There's a lot of opportunity that people took to be reflective and what was important to them, what was their priorities. You hear the term quiet quitting, and people really only doing what's asked of them. And so it's reevaluating after the pandemic what that means to them and what's important to them. And so that has been an impact for us as managers, as HR professionals, as owners, whichever that is. Our workforce is now asking for different things than they did 2-3 years ago. And a lot of that is attributed to a pandemic that we went through. The labor market, I think that everyone can agree that it is tough out there. It is tough to find talent. It's tough to find qualified talent. It's tough to find people that are willing and able to do what we're looking for them to do in the hours that we need them to do. Most of us are in a service industry and have customers that we need to serve. And sometimes our flexibility is limited. And so how do we deal with that in the labor market that we have right now? Unemployment is at a low that it really reflects fully staffed in the US right now. So what does that look like, and how do we navigate through that? On top of that, we have wage inflation. So Our wages are going up because the availability of jobs and the availability of workers are disproportionate. So we're seeing, some of those wages that we can't compete with, and really taking a strong hold. And a lot of us are hearing, well, I want to get paid more. I want to get paid more. I need to be paid more to do this job. I can go somewhere else and make money. Typical one I hear is, well, I can make $20 an hour at McDonald's, and it's absolutely true, and that's a reality we're facing. And so how does that all work into recognition? Because I think a lot of times we hear from employees that I want to earn more, and so that means that you're recognizing what I do. And there is some truth to that, but there's also some aspects of the job where you have to keep the wages in line with the duties and responsibilities being asked of that person. And so it's really tough right now to take that into consideration. And what does that mean? So wage inflation is absolutely a factor for us as we're looking at how do we recognize and appreciate our employees and keep them in our workforce. So, and then the last one I wanted to just touch on before we get into this is being mindful of the cross-generational workforce we have right now. Right now we have our Gen Z, our Gen Y, which is also our millennials, our Gen Xers, and baby boomers, and some traditionalists are still in there. So you have people that are over the age of 65 still in the workforce. You have people that are in their 50s and 40s, and then working with 18, maybe even as young as 16 to 25-year-olds. And what does that look like? Because what maybe for your generation or for what your work values were may not be translating to a different generation. So if you're on the younger gen, you're in the Gen Y or the Gen Z, and you're sitting here going, well, these things are what's important to me. I don't understand why the older generation doesn't see that, and vice versa. It's just really understanding that our work values are different. And so when you're thinking about employee appreciation or employee recognition, that's something that you want to take into consideration is what does that mean with that cross-generational workforce? Because the one size fits all probably is not going to work because people have different work values. And so being mindful of, it may not be something that's important to me and that I feel I want to do or how I'd want to be appreciated may not be true for somebody else. So it's really important to be mindful of that inclusivity across the board, and really appreciation and recognition is about the individual. And it may not feel important to you or to your managers and how they do it, but it's really how that employee is going to feel. And so being mindful of that aspect of it. All right. So this is one of my favorite things to keep in mind. It's a quote that I saw on another webinar, and it's employee engagement doesn't mean employee satisfaction. So a lot of times we do things like big events, or we're trying to make those employees happy and realize this is a happy place to come to work. But really what we want is that employee engagement, and that's the emotional commitment our employee has to our organization and its goals. And when we have that, we have an employee who is out there doing the work that we're asking them to do, doing the work that we're not asking them to do as well, and really giving their all. And they feel that there's a sense of pride and purpose to what they're doing, and they are emotionally committed to what you are trying to accomplish in your organization, your goals. They are in for it. They are there for it. They're ready to be there. And how does that look? And one of the ways that I mentioned earlier is through appreciation. You can build that employee engagement. And what does that mean? Does it mean you have to have these big, elaborate appreciations, these big, elaborate recognitions? Absolutely not. It means that, just those little efforts are being recognized so that people know you see them, you value them, and they're important to you. And that really can help bolster that employee engagement. Now, is that true for everyone? Absolutely not. People are people. That's the joy of working with them, is that, people have choices, people are different. And, for what one person may find helps their engagement, another person may not. And so it's really important that we ask those questions. How do you want to be appreciated? What does that look like for you? What would bring you some value to your job, to the workplace? What does that look like? Really ensuring that you're getting that feedback from that employee so that you can then appreciate them in the way that they want to be appreciated. So it adds that value and meaning to them. So there's 3 types of recognition. So you have your social. So social is anything that is creating that sharing value. So it's a shout out, a simple thank you. It's acknowledging it. It's creating that engagement. It could be a PostIt note. It could be a thank you note. You're sharing the value. You're talking about it in a dealership meeting or in a all employee meeting. Hey, telling a story about this employee, recognizing their efforts. It could be just, hey, you know what? I got a call from a customer today. You did a fantastic job. I just thank you for doing that. It's great to hear from those customers, and I really appreciate what you're doing out there. That's the social aspect of it. And then there's the monetary one. And I think a lot of times, we get stuck on the monetary aspect of it, that we feel that appreciation has to have a monetary tie to it. And that's the reward. You're showing appreciation engagement, and there's a possibility that you can recognize at a higher level with the monetary, but it's not always necessary. And so really finding ways to recognize with monetary and without is very important, because you don't want to drain the bank with your recognition. The purpose and intent of it is really to show your employees that you appreciate their efforts, you appreciate what they're doing, and sometimes just a simple thank you is all that they need. And then lastly, peer-to-peer. It's very important that there's an avenue for peers to recognize other peers. That creates leadership, connection, it's more diverse engagement. So it's not just coming from the top down, but there's an avenue for people to share how they appreciate one another, and throughout the organization, throughout your location, whatever that looks like. But just having that opportunity for people to recognize each other is very important. It brings awareness to what people are doing. If you and or 2 employees only know about a situation with a customer, and they share that peer-to-peer recognition, now everyone's in the loop of, oh wow, that's really great that that's what happened. So it does allow for the sharing of stories throughout, and those stories really bolster that engagement aspect of it for people to see, okay, this is where I work, and this is what we do, and this is who we are. So social, monetary, and peer-to-peer. So here are some ideas that I came up with. Actually, I worked with my team on this. So if you're looking at frequency, like how often should I appreciate my employees? Should I recognize employees? What does that look like? What are some things that I could do? What are some things that are monetary, not monetary? So this is just a list of brainstorming ideas that we came up with. So if you're looking for daily recognitions, just a simple thank you. Hey, thanks for taking care of somebody today. But that simple thank you should be tied to something specific. Otherwise, it tends to fall flat with people if you're just like, hey, thanks for all you do today. Well, okay, what did I do? What does that look like? What do you mean, thanks for all I do? Do you even know what I did today? And you want to build that authenticity with your employees. And so that simple thank you with a specific thing that they completed today that you appreciate. And it could be, hey, thanks for getting all this work done, before deadline today. That was fantastic. Thanks for, taking care of that customer, Mrs. Jones, today. I really appreciate it. I know that's a tough one for you. Check-ins. Check-ins another way of actually showing appreciation and recognition to our employees. And a check-in is in the morning, just saying good morning, how you doing? How was your evening? Just asking how they are. It may be that you're aware of something that's happening with their family. Maybe they're son had a baseball game last night, or they're a coach and, hey, how'd the game go last night? That simple check-in is, again, that opportunity to show, hey, I see you, I know you're here, and I value you. And I value not just for what you're producing and your productivity, but I value you for who you are and what you do. So just an easy check-in in the morning is a great way daily to show appreciation and recognition. Kudos message board. A lot of times you'll see this in locations where it's a, hey, give a shout out, let people know what you're thankful for, what you're grateful for, let people know what you did well, what they did well. And this is where that peer-to-peer can come in, and they can recognize it gets posted up. It may be even, somebody hit some metrics and you're writing on their awesome job, great month, and putting that on there. But it's just a way to give the kudos to people in a public space for people to see, to stop and read, and to share. And that's a great way to have some daily check-ins there. Recognize a win or growth. So this could be, again, back to that simple thank you. You're recognizing a win that somebody had or growth that they've had. I really appreciate how you handled this customer, that I know has been a problem for you in the past because you've always been frustrated. And today you really you came back and you're all calm about it and you let it roll. So I really appreciate how you're handling yourself with our customers. But just recognizing that, and it may be in, if you have morning meetings, but just really letting people know that you see what they're doing and what efforts they're making. Share customer feedback. If you are surveying your customers, if you're getting voice of the customers, you're getting anything where the customers are giving feedback to you guys, great place to put it is on that kudos message board, putting it out there for people to see or read, emailing it out, amongst the group, emailing it to the individual. There are some people who don't want to be recognized publicly. They really just want it to be private, and they appreciate that. So maybe just sending it to them directly is a great way to really let somebody know that you see what's happening for them in that day. Weekly. Yeah, one-on-ones. If you are meeting with your employees now, weekly could be a lot. For some, it's the cadence in which they do. But you can do one-on-ones, and one-on-ones is sitting down with your employee in an intentional time for each of you guys to give feedback. So that employee can give feedback to you of what's going well, what may not be going well, what obstacles they have, what challenges they may have, but also what wins they have, what's been going really well for them, what has been they feel like is a success, and also what they need from you. Asking that employee, what do you need? How can I help you? What is it that I can do for you to help you have a win or to grow in your role? Sitting down with somebody, it could be 15 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, and it can be an hour. And this is beyond just that simple check-in, but this is a dedicated time where you are giving that time to somebody. Big thing from the pandemic, and as we go in the cross-generational, is that people are wanting more time, whether it's time for themselves or they want time from other people. So time is really one of the big things that you can give. And yes, there is a monetary value to time, but it's a very simple way to show somebody that, hey, I'm invested in you, I'm here for you, is to give them some of your undivided attention in that time, and asking them questions that are relevant to them. Again, the kudos message board, you can do that weekly as well. Doesn't have to be at the daily cadence, it could be weekly. 15-minute stand-ups. If you do a 15-minute stand-up with your team weekly and just saying, hey, what's on the plate for today? What do we've got going on for this week? What do we have coming up? What happened this week, for everyone to have a chance to check in. And that's a great time too to share those stories, brief, quick stories about what happened well, and how we've grown, or how an employee has grown, and what keeps moving us forward. So it doesn't have to be the yay, rah, rah, but it does have to be, there's some aspect of it where you're sharing, hey, this is where we've been and where we're going, and this is where this employee is, and what that looks like for them. But just that 15-minute check-in, so again, they know that you're aware of what's happening in their work and what that looks like, and you're in it with them, is a great way to build that value and that engagement. Snacks and coffee one day. Bring in coffee once a week, or bring in some snacks, fruit, some healthy snacks. It could be donuts. It's a common one that I see around here is somebody brings in, some treats for the day, and some people want healthier snacks, which is great too. So just a little thing to notice that people are there. Email text recognition could be sending a text in the middle of the day to one of your employees and saying, hey, how's it going today? Or just an email check-in. Just want to see how your workload's going. Are you running into any issues? So really letting them know that they're front of mind for you, and that they are, or what's happening for them, and you're taking that time out to notice them. Another one that I love is PostIt Notes, for office or even field staff. Putting a PostIt note on a computer screen, putting a PostIt note on their locker, putting a PostIt note on the vehicle of, hey, you know what, you're doing great, stay awesome. Simple, just little things to keep people motivated. And that brings to mind another idea that I see often here is, for our route drivers, is Gatorade in the summertime with a snack, and they just put it right in their truck for them. So when the employee goes to leave, there's a drink and a snack for them for later, and it's just saying, hey, I see you, and thinking about your day and what you may have in front of you. Some monthly ones, one-on-ones, again, is sitting down, giving that time. It can, like I said, be a weekly, it could be monthly, however that cadence works for you and your team. Dealership and department meetings, really connecting with your employees. Again, that set time to share stories of what's happening, what's working well, where there's opportunity for growth, but really taking that opportunity to recognize anniversaries or birth dates that are upcoming, who's been here for how long, and just celebrating people and celebrating your team, and celebrating everything that's going well. Doing contests, you can have a simple contest that's relative to the business, and have some prizes, and that would be into that monetary aspect of it and what that looks like for them, and just to feel like you're winning, you feel like you're contributing, you're working towards a greater goal for the company. And I feel like a broken record of saying this, but it's about engaging them and bringing them that emotional commitment to the company and their goals. Having a suggestion box is a great way to recognize and appreciate employees. It's a way for them to share what ideas they may have, and that saying to them, you're open to those ideas. You want to hear from them. You want to know what they think and where they're going. So either having that suggestion box, or even by your department or your dealership or your company meetings, to say, okay, what do we have? What's some brainstorm ideas that we have? What do we want to do? Where do we want to go? How do we want to fix this problem? It's just really allowing people to have the space to voice what is true for them, and also what is their ideas. Now, it doesn't mean you implement all their ideas, but it does mean that you're listening to them, you're hearing them, and that you appreciate the idea sharing. Employee spotlight. We have a couple places that do every month an employee spotlight. So it's, if back in grade school, you used to do the student of the week or student of the month, and here's some information about them, picture about them, getting to know their family, making that personal investment for everyone. And it's that peer-to-peer recognition as well, and sharing across the board. And here's some ways that we can recognize who you are as a person, again, outside of that employee productivity aspect. Ride-alongs. Sit with your employee, see what they do all day, or half a day, whatever that may be, but really get out there with them. And even if you've done their job before and you know what it is, see it from their perspective, that person's perspective, because really it is, again, about that person and what's true for them in their day, and what are they struggling with, or what are they doing really well, and really getting into their world of what's happening each day for them. So that's the monthly suggestions. And then quarterly, Do some quarterly events with your team, go bowling, do a happy hour, go to lunch, whatever that may look like, but just a little bit, maybe a bigger event. We do grill outs, do grills with just our employee. We've done them with our families, just an opportunity to do a little bit bigger event to say thank you. And we know it's tough out there and we know it's been stressful and just want to take a breather, take a break and just kind of relax a little bit and have some fun. So quarterly events are fantastic. Your performance reviews are, if you want to do them quarterly, you can also do them annually, monthly, however, again, the cadence that works for you guys, but performance reviews are a way to recognize and appreciate your employees. It's letting them know with that open communication of here's what you're doing well, here's what you can improve on, and how do I help you get there? What's important to you? Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? And really finding out from them, getting that feedback. So performance reviews are a great way to show appreciation and recognition and to be on a regular schedule. So the employee knows when they're coming up and then holding to it. Again, it comes back to that time investment in them and really showing them that you're there for them and you support them and you're willing to give your time to them. Written thank you notes are fantastic. It's just taking the time to write out a note. I don't know how many people still receive things that aren't electronic. So it is a great way to do something a little different and show that you care with the thank you note and that you appreciate what they're doing. An employee of the quarter program. You can, the old adage of an employee of the month, move it to quarterly. You could do it monthly, but just saying, hey, you know what? This week we're going to appreciate them because they did X, Y, and Z, or they met X, Y, and Z goal, or this person is really a standout because of their commitment and what they do each day. And so we want to recognize John this month or this quarter for all of his efforts. And again, that internalizes as this company cares about me, sees what I'm doing, and appreciates what I do. And that's really what you're striving for when you're looking at appreciation and recognition. And then on to the some annual ideas for recognition and appreciation is, again, performance reviews. If you don't do them, at least recommendation would be annually. So making sure that you're touching base with that employee on their performance at least annually. Hold an annual team event. So if you don't want to do it quarterly, maybe it's annual and do a holiday party, do a dinner, maybe something that they know is coming up every year. And just, it doesn't have to be elaborate, just something to really step away from the daily grind of our work every day, and building that aspect of that peer-to-peer, as well as management getting in there and really solidifying relationships and connectedness. Anniversaries and birthdays, people's work anniversaries, recognizing their tenure, recognizing that they've been here, they've been a fantastic employee, and just their birthday people. That again is personal. I'm recognizing you and for who you are, and just happy that you're here, and that birthday is important. Employee swag. Sometimes it's just getting a shirt with company logo on it, a sweatshirt, could be golf towel if somebody likes golfing, just getting them something that is important to them, or that they would appreciate. So it may be just getting them some employee swag. Time off. Again, what we're hearing from people is flexibility, and that time with their families or time away from work is really important to them, and what they're looking for as they move forward. Now, this may not be feasible in a full day or a half day, but even just sending somebody home early and say, I'll pay you for the last hour of work, but go home, be with your family, go home, coach your baseball, whatever that may be, but really recognizing and giving an increment of time off is a way to recognize people post-pandemic and in this current job market. So those are some ideas that, like I said, we came up with, and there's a lot more out there, and I'd love to hear from you. So if anyone has any other suggestions, be happy to hear that, and you can put them in the chat or the Q&A and love to see what other ideas people have. It's always important to share ideas too, because it's really hard to come up with creative things as far as what that appreciation looks like. So anytime you can share ideas amongst others, it's always good in brainstorm. So back to appreciation, really, it starts at the top. So recognition starts at the top and it flows downstream. So if the people at the top are recognizing those below, they will start recognizing those amongst themselves, and then below or above, or even customers, if they're recognizing that recognition, really, it has to flow downwards. Very rarely do we see success with it moving upwards. It's really coming from the top and letting people know that it's important. So keep it personal, genuine and simple. Recognition does not have to be extravagant. It does need to be personal and genuine. So it might be, somebody that is working for you and they really like going to the movies. It might be 2 tickets to the movies, or a gift card for Netflix and some popcorn and candy, and say, hey, enjoy your family night. We want it to be something that's meaningful to those employees and to them personally. And you want it to be genuine. The one thing that people will feel is if you're just going through the motions because you feel like you have to, it'll fall flat, unfortunately. So, not expecting everyone to be perfect at giving recognition and appreciation, but really, truly, if it's coming from a good place and you really mean it, and you mean what you're telling them, and you're grateful to them, and that gratitude will come through. So, it does not have to be extravagant. It just needs to be personal and genuine. So, that is all I have on this great topic. And let's see here, I have a question here. What questions do you use when brainstorming with employees? So I want to clarify. So when you're brainstorming with your employees as far as what ideas they could do for recognition, is that correct? I just want to make sure that I'm answering your question. Correct. Okay. So yeah, so if you're brainstorming with your employees, some of the things you can say is, how do you like to be recognized? What are some things that would be exciting if you could get one recognized by me in one way, anyway, what would it be? And I use one of my favorite terms is the magic wand. If I could wave a magic wand, or you could wave a magic wand, and you could get recognition any which way you wanted it, what would that look like? And that kind of takes off these barriers where people start talking, and they could be talking in these grandiose terms of like, well, I would want a trip to the Super Bowl. Awesome. Well, now I know football might be something that's important to you. So, okay, got it. Somebody's like, I want a trip to the Bahamas. Okay, so I know, and now it's going to tell me a little bit more about you. Tell me, why do you want to go to the Bahamas? What would be great about that? And just asking questions more and more, but really, what's important is taking the constraints off of it, and when you're brainstorming, just allowing anything to be possible, so that people can really get in there into some creativity. And it'll start showing who they are. And some people may just say, you know what, I just want you to leave me alone and let me do my work. Okay. And that might be true for them. But for the most part, a lot of people do like a little bit of a thank you here and there, just again, so that they know that you see them. But that's telling me that person probably doesn't want public appreciation, doesn't want to be, brought up in front of a stage of people and shown what they did great, and really doesn't want that public, like I said, public appreciation. They're really looking for that more personal and quiet appreciation. But it's really important that, like I said, in brainstorming too, to ask people to really share, be creative, come up with any ideas, and not to take that down and saying, oh no, we can't do that. Well, anything's possible, and at least it'll open up the conversations and start people talking. Let's see here, Jennifer, suggestion employee fun events such as golfing, etc. Do this during a regular business day so they don't have to take off on their weekends and evenings. And family picnics would be best on the weekends. Absolutely, I agree wholeheartedly. We did a boating event the other day with my HR team. And we went, it was like an hour in the middle of the day at lunchtime. And it was just so relaxing to get out away from it. And I didn't have to ask for their time on the weekends. I didn't have to ask for their time in the evenings, and it happened during the weekday. And that it is hard. There is some constraints with that sometimes, but just being open to the idea of doing that with people is really important, so that you're showing in some aspects that you value them, sometimes over all the work that has to get done, because employees can sometimes feel like it's a grind, and I'm just a cog in the wheel just doing this, and really, no, you know what, we're going to take a break. Breaks are important, and so we can get refocused. And again, it's creating that emotional commitment. So awesome suggestion. Love it. That's great. Any other questions? Any other suggestion ideas that I could answer?
As a reminder, you can feel free to put them down in the Q&A, or the Q&A chat box below, or even in the chat box. Really, we'll take it there as well. If you have anything you'd like to submit it, we're happy to get any questions answered. Otherwise, you have our emails as well. So if you can't think of anything right now, but maybe later you're sitting there and something pops up, feel free to go ahead and shoot us an email to membership@wqa.org, and we can connect you with Julie if you have any specific questions for her to get your question answered.
Great.
We did have one more, actually.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I clicked through a little quick there. Yeah, so do you talk about appreciation during the onboarding process for new employees? Absolutely. There is a way to ask, give a questionnaire to new employees, asking them a bunch of questions about themselves, so that you can find out what maybe their favorite candy is, their favorite meals, where they like to go with their family. And it's also an opportunity to get to know this new person that's coming on board, and that you can share with the rest of the team some pieces of that, and really asking that employee, like, what's important to you? We really want you to feel welcome here and feel like a part of the team. So, how do you like to be appreciated? That is a great way to get that relationship started with that employee. There's somebody new coming on, and we're trying to capture these employees and keep them. And it's so important in that first 90 days due to how many applications they put out there elsewhere. Those people are still calling on them. So the chance of an employee leaving right away within that first 90 days is greater due to that fact. So anything that you can show, again, that investment, that interest into that person, and letting them know that it's a priority to you to appreciate and recognize the employees on your team is so important. So it's a good way to start off the relationship. Great question.
Alrighty, thank you, Julie. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to either put them in the Q&A or shoot us an email after the fact, and we'll get your questions answered for you. So just a couple of things. Upcoming event, we have the convention coming in April. It's going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada, from April 18th to 20th. The day before is the business boot camp, which will be on April 17th. And then for more information, you can go to wqa.org/convention. I also realized I did not create a slide for this, so I'm going to verbally say it, and we'll send you a reminder when you send the recording. But we do have another upcoming webinar scheduled. This one will be presented by the WIN Advisory Council. This is scheduled for Wednesday, December 14th at 11 a.m. Central. Like I said, we'll include more information when you get the recording so that you can register and get scheduled for that. And I believe that's all for us. I thank you for joining us today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to send us an email. We'll get it answered for you. Otherwise, we appreciate your time. Thank you again to our speaker, Julie, for providing her insights, and hopefully people gain some good information or some nuggets or ideas to take back and implement. So I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.